Clarence's marriage had not stopped me from pursuing him night and day. I lived for those few moments when Clarence and I could steal away to the dark end of the street. That's when I was 17. Well, we know them Motown ninjas love them a teenager. Emphatically. Well, hello there, love bugs. Hello there, Bellas. If you have not already done so, please remember to like, share the Facebook, subscribe, and visit uptopbeauty.com for this Hilda hat. Now, I'm not sure if we have the black with the white flower left, but I know we have a few of the black cap with the black flowers. So go on over there to uptopbeauty.com and check it out. And if you are not already a part of this book club, please hit the Patreon link below and or the join button here on the YouTube. And for a small monthly fee of $5, you babies, yes, you can be privy to all the shenanigans before the YouTube gets it, if the YouTube gets it. Now, dun, dun, dun. Let's talk about Bettye LaVette, A Woman Like Me, by guess what? The David Ritz. We love all his books. When I tell you this lady is giving us the real tea about the pimping and the hoeing and the wholeness that is inside as a little girl, oh my God, let's get started. A vicious pimp was precariously holding on to my right foot as he dangled me from the top of a 20-story apartment building at Amsterdam and 78th Street. It is as true as it is ironic that some months earlier, this same man had met me at Small's Paradise in Harlem, where I was singing my semi-hit, Let Me Down Easy. The man had no such intentions. He was sadistic, callous, and impossibly gorgeous. He had wooed and won me by reciting long passages from the Rabelais of Omar Khayyam. If I said it wrong, y'all, just forgive me. He possessed the world's most mellifluous voice. When he took me to secluded bistros and ordered in flawless French, I practically melted into the bride. He dressed elegantly. He even sang beautifully. His charm was so prodigious that only he could break my obsession with Clarence Paul. Ooh. Ooh. You be like, nah, you always talking about pimps and hoes, because I am just enamored with all that pimping and hoeing. And I hate to say this, but I find myself the most attracted to that kind of even man. Sang beautifully. His charm was so prodigious that only he could break my obsession with Clarence Paul, Marvin Gaye's compatriot, and Stevie Wonder's mentor at Motown. Clarence's marriage had not stopped me from pursuing him night and day. I lived for those few moments when Clarence and I could steal away to the dark end of the street. That's when I was 17. Well, we know them Motown ninjas love them a teenager. Emphatically, before I turned 20, the debonair pimp had temporarily cured me of my misdirected passion for Mr. Paul. Mr. Wonderful wove a web of such subtle design that I mistook my prison for a palace. Little by little, he stripped me of all outside contacts. He showed me how his own women waited on him hand and foot, and he expected the same of me. He convinced me that it was my absolute obligation to bring him at least $100 a day. That meant turning tricks. I've never heard this kind of story before. Ooh, Bettye LaVette, you better give it to me, girl. Ooh, you thing you! I'm a woman who does not like admitting mediocrity at any task, particularly one where fucking is the centerpiece. Yet, in all honesty, I cannot claim the status of a world-class whore. I tried, but stumbled. I have talked about hustle mom Martina until I'm blue in the face. This woman will spit the game for you.
Keeping it 100 and funky.
All the time.
I'm not trying to be nobody that I'm not. Every girl can see their self in me.
Yes.
You know, if it's just one little thing, you know what I'm saying? If it's them speaking their mind or getting to the money or like to stay dressed and like to, you know, finesse and pop they shit, you know, but getting to that money and
Right.
taking care of those bills
Right.
and not being high on drugs and being a porter potty.
Right.
That's what I want to talk about.
Right.
Like,
Talk about it.
prostitution is prostitution. You know, I'm a holy hoe, old fashioned hoe.
Right.
Like, I don't know what's up with these girls, like, getting peed on and pooped on and all that. I feel like that's not prostitution. You're selling your soul now.
Right.
Because you don't have to do all that. Because you can, it's a lot of regular guys out there that are married, just want to have a good fuck and go
Right.
home. You know what I'm saying? Protected
Right.
sex. But this porter potty stuff,
Yeah, it's crazy.
no condoms.
I had to rely on friends to give me the $100 to avoid getting beaten by my man. Fortunately, I found one sweet Johnny Desmond, a singing star from the 40s and 50s, then appearing on Broadway with Barbara Streisand. He was a cultivated man, and we enjoyed stimulating intercourse, both intellectual and sexual. Johnny kept me in business for several months, and I remained grateful. Finally, though, I saw the light. What the hell took me so long to see that I was aiding and abetting a raging asshole? On a balmy spring night, I gathered up my nerve and I said, I'm gone. You stay, he retorted, until I kick your ass out. I'm not asking, I snapped back. I'm telling. He responded by grabbing me by the neck, dragging me to the roof, and dangling me over the edge. The fact that the traffic down on Amsterdam Avenue was light was of no comfort. Bitch, he said, there's only one way you're leaving. That's if I decide to drop you. I knew the man was monstrous, but I did not see him as a murderer. Of course, I couldn't be sure, but I had to take that chance. Oh, this is what the ladies call a gorilla pimp. Okay? A gorilla. Them kind that be like, bitch, you better have my money. That's the part of the game that I ain't with. Don't put your motherfucking hands on me. I knew the man was monstrous, but I did not see him as a murderer. Of course, I couldn't be sure, but I had to take that chance. If you think I'm worth the rest of your life in jail, then drop me. Fuck you, he said. You'll never make it without me. That's when he pulled me up, slapped me around, and told me to get out. I ran like the wind, leaving everything behind. I hit the streets of Manhattan, wearing a pair of shorts, a bra, and no shoes. I had no money. Where was I supposed to go? What was I supposed to do? I was born into a heavy drinking family. Early on, I became and remain a serious drinker. I make no apologies for this. It's who I am. I drank from conception. I drank in the womb because mama drank every day of her life. She lived to be 91 and probably would have made it to 100 if, because of her drunken state, she hadn't had a silly accident. Daddy, who adored me, loved his liquor just as much. High blood pressure induced strokes didn't stop him from drinking. A stroke killed him when he was 46. My parents' grand enterprise, besides their children, was an at-home corn liquor business where they sold booze and barbecue sandwiches. They filled the house with anyone looking for cheap drink and tasty food. A blues blasting jukebox provided the entertainment. Among the happiest customers were the biggest gospel stars at the time: the Pilgrim Travelers, the Five Blind Boys of Mississippi, the Dixie Hummingbirds. The church entertainers didn't want to be seen in public bars, so my parents' home was the perfect spot. They loved to party, and I loved hearing them sing. They loved hearing me sing as well. Pause. Now, how many books we done read that told us that them damn gospel stars was getting the busiest? Okay, them was the ones that was out on the roads doing the honky-tonky. Because remember, Sammy the Cookie was round there with young 12-year-old Riri, that would be Aretha Franklin, the motel room with him. They said it was a lot of undercover homosexuality and undercover sleeping with on them tours. So I can absolutely believe this. And with each book we read that addresses the subject of the gospel circuit promiscuity, it just let's say confirms it. Daddy was Frank James Haskins and mama was Perlina Johnson. They grew up in rural Louisiana. Before they met, Daddy had already been married. His first wife died in a fire along with their daughter, also named Betty. Mama had gone through two husbands, both younger than she was, and had a daughter, Maddie, my beloved sister and closest friend in life. 13 years, my senior. My mother was so gorgeous. They called her Pretty Pearl. You know what? I don't know why, but I still love that name, Pearl. And I know y'all like, Nate, that's an old lady name. Not to me. I don't know what it is, like names like Rebecca, Pearl, Elizabeth, Gretchen, Hildegard, like names that you would think would be more suited for an older person. I just think it's the cutest thing when you see that name associated with a toddler or a child, because you're going to have to live up to your name. You know, not like Alizé or Mercedes or Lexus or what is that? Zanzibar. Family legend said Mama spotted Daddy at the sawmill where he worked. As the planks rolled down the line, the men kicked them in a slick rhythm that flipped them over to be split with perfect precision. Supposedly, Daddy was the best of the sawmill showmen. Mama liked his style and brought him lunch. I guess lunch was good because before long they were keeping house. Mama had the New Orleans religion, the kind that let her go to mass drunk every Sunday morning. The Jesus? New Orleans, is that true? What the Jesus? In her version of Catholicism, God and Hooch got along great. Frank, Pearl, and Maddie migrated to the sandy beach town of Muskegon, Michigan, where I was born, Betty Jo Haskins, on January 29th, 1946. They set up their makeshift nightclub at home in the projects where we lived. There was no gambling or loose women, only a jukebox, booze, and Mama's homemade sandwiches. It was the perfect space for locals looking to relax. Mama and Daddy fought long and hard, especially when I was young. Mama tells the story about how she was going to leave him after a big blow up. She packed up me and sister and bought seats on the Greyhound back to Louisiana. Being the loudmouth that I was and I am, I ran up and down the aisles telling my fellow passengers, we're going to Mama's home because Daddy hit her and she called the police. Later, I learned the real story. It was Mama who had a history of hitting Daddy. When Daddy retaliated, she swore she was taking us with her and never returning. We stayed in Louisiana for about a half hour before we returned around and headed back to Michigan. Damn, Mama. As far as I was concerned, Daddy could do no wrong, which was also his attitude towards me. He was so protective that he wouldn't let me go to school in the rain. He was so devoted to Maddie that I was sure he was her biological dad. I think that is beautiful. When you deal with a man that accepts your child as his own. Daddy likes ladies and had no shame in taking me with him to meet his women. I had no idea that they were his special friends or that Daddy was having flings. Okay. Okay. I mean, I'll accept that because you know the fathers will take their sons with them to teach them early how to be a dirty dick to the women they with. And you know that manifests in the son's behavior as he grows older. My daddy was a dirty dick, so that means that I must be a dirty dick too. I just knew that these ladies plied him with liquor. My guess is that my mother, fearless and headstrong as she was, had a couple of flings of her own. My folks had no regard for money. They drank away whatever slim profits their corn liquor and pork sandwiches might have yielded. Mama was more moderate in her drinking. Every time she hid the booze supply, Daddy tore up the house till he found it. If on a rare occasion he failed to find it, he ran out to one of his ladies. Mama retaliated by getting in the car, turning on the ignition, and driving it into a wall. Damn! That's not retaliation. That's crazy to me. I'm not about to take my damn car and run it into a fucking wall. That's stupid. That's crazy. That's drunk. That's drinking. Okay? That's drinking. That's what happened when you both sitting around here drinking all day. How did I weather this world of overwrought emotions? No doubt I was overwrought too, but I can't say that I was frightened. I knew that these two people loved me dearly. They protected me. They also provided an excitement that got into my blood. Music was exciting. Dancing was exciting. Partying was exciting. Seeing people group together in search of fun turned boredom to fascination. I was fascinated by the interplay between mama and daddy. When I was very young, the explosions were nonstop. The high drama between them was better than anything on TV. The breakup to makeup syndrome kept us on our toes. After nearly 2 years in Muskegon, we moved to Pontiac, where we stayed for a minute before moving to Detroit. My folks had factory jobs at General Motors, while sister, who married at 14, stayed behind in Muskegon with her husband. When I got to be 10, the drama subsided because of daddy's strokes. His medical condition quieted the love storms, and mama became his conscientious caretaker. Sister was an angel, and her husband was a low down dirty dog. He gave her nothing but grief. When you used to maneuvering in chaos, that's what you seek out. Like a quiet home to her may be boring to her. He gave her nothing but grief. We all celebrated when sister left him and joined us in Detroit. The problem, though, was that her next husband was worse. He was violent, not only with sister, but with me and mama as well. What?